What's going on, everyone? Well, we got some not great news. So, according to reports, Jarred Vanderbilt is not going to be ready for training camp and potentially preseason. Now, as far as being ready for the regular season, that is kind of up in the air, right? This isn't good, right? We need Jarred Vanderbilt, and we need him desperately, right? Like, Rui, he can slot in. You can go with the same five, temporarily to start the season. That offense was really good, but you don't have that balance. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody on the team that can come anywhere close to a Jarred Vanderbilt, right? We don't have anyone on the team that can really kind of help supplement what he gives. Closest would be Cam Reddish because of his size and his length, but how many minutes are you playing Cam Reddish, right? Like, that was a problem last year with Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham was playing Cam Reddish. Now look, Cam Reddish was, did his best Jarred Vanderbilt impression. No, he was actually incredible early on, particularly on the defense side. Obviously, offensively, he has his struggles, but now you're resorting and relying on a guy that just was inconsistent, also dealing with injuries last season. It's just the injury bug all over again. And based on the reports, Jarred Vanderbilt opted not to have surgery, and now it's taken him longer to kind of get back on the court. He's dealing with the foot injury. And I mean, again, it's just, does this become a persistent, lingering issue? Because even if Jarred Vanderbilt, let's say he is ready for the start of the season, if he's dealing with foot problems, we've seen lots of NBA players, their careers are over because of foot injuries or foot issues because they didn't want to get surgery, stuff like that. And then maybe now he re-injures it and bothers him, and now he does have to go have surgery, and now he's out for the season again, right? Or he's never able to kind of recapture what we need him to recapture, right? The beauty of Jarred Vanderbilt is he is arguably, if not, the best on-ball defender in the entire NBA, right? There's very few guys that really can do and cover the ground that he covers, right? It's not just about him being able to defend, it's he covers so much ground. Lakers are middle of the pack defensively with just Anthony Davis because they don't really have anyone else defensively. You add Jarred Vanderbilt, and the Lakers are a top defense in the league just on Jarred Vanderbilt alone because of how much ground he covers. We've made jokes and we've talked, even in the playoffs against like the Warriors in particular, a couple years back, right? Where it was like he was teleporting, using instant transmission all over the court. It's incredible. And then you have Anthony Davis who covers so much ground, and you pair those two together and it becomes a problem, right? And he makes up for so much of Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and even LeBron at times, their mistakes and their lack of defense at times. Yes, LeBron can still lock down when he needs to, but it's getting fewer and fewer far between than it had before, right? And it's understandable. LeBron's 40, right? Like, year 22. Like, it's understandable that he's not going to be this like lockdown premier defender. He's still an incredible talent, but to have that balance with Jarred Vanderbilt, how do you offset that? My guess is JJ Redick probably just sticks with the five with Rui Hachimura because it had success last season. Kind of run the motion offense, have guys moving around more. Hopefully you can kind of uptick the offense a little more, and hopefully you can at least early on kind of outscore. Let Jarred Vanderbilt take his time coming back. Even if Jarred Vanderbilt does come back, how long does it take for him to get back to being Jarred Vanderbilt? Because remember, he got hurt, he came back. It took him like 10 games to kind of really start showing the signs. He still wasn't fully Jarred Vanderbilt, but he was starting to show the signs of Jarred Vanderbilt. And then lo and behold, boom, he gets hurt again. And it's like, come on, you get your break, right? But, you kind of go down the list. And it's like, you could go with Max Christie. Problem with Max Christie is he's more a 2 than a 3. Certain matchups, certain games, right? Can you survive with Max Christie? I believe so. 40% on the catch and shoot 3. He is arguably our second best on-ball defender outside of Jarred Vanderbilt, right? I think there's arguments, for Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish as well, but Max Christie has really shown some promise in that regard. Plus, if he can knock down 3 with consistency, kind of be the swing man, I do think you can make that work. I would at least try. No, I'm not saying you have to necessarily start that, right? Like you could go with the typical five, but maybe like early, you just start the third quarter or something like that, right? Maybe you bring in Max Christie and you kind of get a feel and a look and see like, how does this work? How does this look? Dalton Connect, he's got a little more size, but the problem is now you're relying heavily on a rookie that had defensive struggles in summer league, right? Now, to his credit, I like that he never gave up on plays, right? He would get beat and he would stay with it, slide his feet, stay in front of guys, so like to his credit, he still, I thought, did a very good job of recovering, right? And you saw him still be able to kind of funnel. And there's a big difference between like, Colin Castleton and Anthony Davis. So as long as Max Christie can at least funnel, you have Anthony Davis who can essentially clean it up. But it's just you're putting so much more on Anthony Davis now. And, Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell doesn't really sound like offensively, if Dalton Connect can immediately out the gate be that offensive player that we kind of expect him to be eventually, then offensively, yes, the Lakers would be tough. Defensively is where the problem really lies. So now you're essentially just trying to outscore teams, which, I think you could do on most nights, but to be taken seriously and to be that real contender, I talked about it with Rui Hachimura, right? This channel, AS, the Lakers show, right? What was one of the big things I kept harping on? Even when the Lakers were like 9-0 with Rui in the starting lineup, I was like, I love the offensive side of things, but what happens when the offense dries up? What happens when you can't hit a shot? What happens when the offense gets stagnant, even for a few minutes, right? I'm not even talking about like where you saw in the Denver series, where it's like a 5-minute stretch every game. Like what happens when you can't stop anybody? Right? Like what happens when you can't, like you stop scoring and the team is just getting whatever they want on the offensive side of things. And then on top of that, when they do miss, they're grabbing offensive rebounds because you can't rebound because you don't have the foot speed to go get the rebound. It's not a coincidence that like, when the offense was cooking against Denver, boom, we're up 20. As soon as the offense hits this wall, Denver just runs us out, right? Because we can't stop anybody with that lineup. I mean, you could go with Cam Reddish, and if I'm being honest, that's probably what I would do, right? Have Cam Reddish at the 3, just to give you that size, at least to try, right? See, like, can JJ Redick kind of figure out how to make Cam Reddish at least a versatile offensive threat? Like, obviously he doesn't have the shooting. He has had moments in games where he can kind of get kind of hot, but you really need his size, his athleticism and rebounding, especially with what JJ wants to do where he wants the corners to crash. Like Cam Reddish could, because he's quick and athletic and big and long with a 7'2" wingspan, I think he could help on the glass. He could help on the defense side of things. He could really lock down until Jarred Vanderbilt comes back. And then when Jarred Vanderbilt comes back, boom, you kind of ease him into it and slide him in. I'd at least try it with Cam Reddish, right? I know that might not be the answer that people want, but like, again, like Rui, my guess is Rui starts. Like if I had to put $1 on it, like I think Rui is the guy that ends up starting just because of the Jarred Vanderbilt situation. But I would try Max Christie and I would try Cam Reddish and just see if that works. Because you got to remember, a lot of times they're playing, Torrey and Prince with Cam Reddish and stuff like that. Like, I just think you keep it simple. You just go with the same 4 and then slot Cam Reddish and just give you that defensive versatility, that size, helping on the glass and stuff. Because outside of that, it's just you don't have anyone else. You don't. Like, again, Max Christie isn't big enough, right? If you're asking him to defend the 1 or the 2, then sure. But, you're playing some of these 3s. He just doesn't have the size advantage, right? That like a Cam Reddish has. Like if you go with Dalton Connect, you're banking on a rookie to essentially be, a vet right out the gate. right? And you're expecting him to just do so much, and you're asking so much of him immediately that, like, he didn't even show he was capable of in summer league, right? He showed the ability to score, but we also need him to defend. If you're just looking for scoring, then you might as well go with Rui Hachimura. But if you want that balance, then you need to find something, right? Like, and then outside of that, like, what do you go small with, like, Gabe Vincent? I don't think so. I don't think you go that route. Could you go bigger with, like, Jackson Hayes, right? And move AD to the 4? Sure. But then again, you're kind of dealing with the same problem out on the perimeter. Lakers' biggest defensive issues weren't interior. It was defending the perimeter, right? So now LeBron has to really lock in and engage defending the perimeter. Also, Jackson Hayes isn't really, like, the guy, in my opinion, the guy you want to slot in. Do you go with, like, Christian Wood? He showed the ability, like, defending Kevin Durant, right? That was pretty nice. And his versus, do you kind of go, like, really big as, like, a 3 and kind of has his size and his length? But again, he's not really a 3. Do you kind of just experiment a little bit with different potential lineups early on? No, like, if it was me, I'd at least early on try, like, put the main 4 with, like, Christian Wood. Put the main 4 with, Max Christie. Put the main 4 with Cam Reddish. Put the main 4 with, a Dalton Connect. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, you have to start it, right? It doesn't mean, again, like, you could go with the typical 5 that we saw last year with Rui, and then just, like, whatever, third quarter or whatever, again, slot in one, and then the next game slot in the other, and then the next game slot in the other, and just kind of in the first, 10 games, kind of get a feel of, like, okay, what unit is the best, and, like, that's kind of what you roll with, because maybe it is, maybe Max Christie is great and is fine, and they are able to work, and he's shooting 40% from 3 and knocking it down on a consistent clip, but he's giving you enough. You don't know until you try. It's a sucky situation to be in, right? It is. It sucks, but. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you think that, the Lakers, like, you gotta figure it out? Are you disappointed? Are you upset? Are you bothered by this news? Like, do you trade him? Right? Like, seriously, do you look to potentially move him? Like, it's a tough spot for the Lakers to be in, because, the hope was that, hey, everyone's coming back, everyone's healthy. Rui Hachimura, healthy. Gabe Vincent, healthy. It's good. But all this other stuff, it's like, it's frustrating. But anyway, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.